Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, featuring today a 1 versus 1 on Sturzdorf. Yes, indeed, Sturzdorf. And we shall be watching The Dark Knight Rises. Apparently, Batman has been sent in against the Nazis. Commissioner Gordon, what is it? I need you to stop Hitler. Alright, can we give him some sort of crazy name? Yo, the Führer. Oh, alright then. I'll go after him. Anyways, fighting for the Americans, fighting for the 10th Infantry Division, the Dark Knight resumes his pursuit of the Führer. Opposing him shall be Rangeroo7, fighting for the Wehrmacht, leading the glorious 329th Volksgrenadier Division into battle for the fatherland. And Rangeroo7 clearly displaying that he's perhaps not quite earned his level 16 by being very nice. And we are in fact seeing a 3 pioneers to start going on there from Rangeroo7, whereas the Dark Knight Rises is opting for 2 engineers, a bit more of a standard start. Also, a quick note, apparently there's been some changes to the pre-orders, which initially led to the pre-orders for the regular edition. We'll be getting 4 extra commanders, 2 German, 2 Soviet, some new skins, and some parts of the new Theatre War mini-campaigns, and that should be some interesting stuff right there. For the collector's editions, I mean, they seem to vanish, but that's apparently because they're planning something better, some different ones. At least some people have been digging up a version 2 of the collector's edition, so those of you who have pre-ordered those, I would suggest waiting a bit. There will apparently be something even better, I would imagine, than the previous one, which might have for some looked a bit dull. So, cheer up, I suppose. In the meanwhile, we are seeing the Wehrmacht really literally going in and taking as many points as possible, going for the valuable high munitions, going for all the resources. In fact, he can. Also, first unit of the Wehrmacht quarters is the Volksgrenadier squad. Some mighty Volksgrenadier. Oh, less than mighty Volksgrenadiers in this case, I imagine. Marching out. And we are seeing here, right here, a nice advance by the Dark Knight Rises. He gets into the building first, and of course, some people wondering, well, why does he get them in there? And of course, popping into a building increases your line of sight. And an overall radius, of course, in this case, Dark Knight Rises is doing this for reconnaissance purposes and probably to ensure he does not run into, say, an MG or some other nasty crowd trap. So, nicely done there. And of course, always a nice little trick if you're a bit unsure of what's ahead and you see a building nearby. Pop into it and get some increased line of sight and sort of spot up, well, what could be coming my way? So, nicely demonstrated there by the Dark Knight Rises. Pioneers catching up there, and also note now that Rangeroo7 is quick on the bar via the Volksgrenadiers of fortifying the front at every possible angle. Rather than already secure the victory point right there while the Volksgrenadiers are busy laying down fire. Hey, are those American signs? I don't know, our job is to lay down fire now. In the meanwhile, we do see an engagement going up here. The Riflemen do take some of the few first shots there and are quickly pushed into cover. And looks like an MG42 is moving up to support. Tank traps going up, so clearly Rangeroo7 is preparing to fortify the front against any sort of nasty thing that could be leveled against him. And there we go. MG42 fighting against the Riflemen, held up by the bricks in the pit for some greater construction plan. For all I know, it could be a shoe factory. Anyways, there we go. Riflemen are dropping as the MG42 unleashes bullet after bullet after bullet. Tank traps going down, known as Dragon's Chief. This particular type of tank trap. Pioneers taking up position in one of the adjoining places of the barrel factory, though I imagine you don't need huge furnaces for barrels. At least not if they're wooden barrels. It could be, of course, be metal barrels. Yes. We are seeing the Pioneers, they're not doing too well. They will need support soon. Another squad of Volksgrenadiers arriving up for Rangeroo7 already there. The wire has been pierced. Some engineers were trying to get through and looks like they have been caught a bit in it. And the Riflemen just fire away at the tank traps. Come on, yeah, yeehaw. We're from Texas. We like shooting and everything. We're stereotypes. And Dane is an evil, evil man for using us like that. Yes, indeed. But Riflemen are now taking up position here. The Dark Knight Rises taking up a position of blockade and harassment. Although, of course, largely the Riflemen won't be able to do much good, but even then, they will be able to cause a bit of annoyance. and might force Rangeroo to be a lot more cautious, because if he tries to ignore them, they could just pop out of them and of course ambush, for example, the MG42. So it's really a nasty position of blockade that TheDarkknighrises has been setting up here. A nasty little trap, and of course that's one of the tricks using buildings. No, he pops out and he gets shot at by the MG42, takes a lot of damage to the health, quickly pops in again and exposes him to further fire. At the same time, we see the same trick there going up, and looks like a unit went down. The Pioneers were burned out by an engineer, taking up position in the main barrel factory. Flamethrower Pioneers trying to burn out the Americans right there, although Heinz goes down, leaving the flamethrower tank to Fritz. Who's going to Fritz them. In the meanwhile, another engagement here. Riflemen moving up to flank the Volksgrenadiers and Pioneers, trying to dig out the Riflemen. There we go, the Riflemen getting out there to get the full drop on the Volksgrenadiers, although quickly Hank takes a bullet to the throat and drops dead on the spot. Meanwhile, the Volksgrenadiers are going to get pushed back. And meanwhile, engineers arrive from active moving in to support the other rifle running into MG5, and then the other squad. And BARs pop up for the TheDarkknighrises. We could actually lose a rifleman squad. The MG42 could tear them down, shred them. No! They pull off a forest gum and corner the corner and get out of there. In the meanwhile, the Volksgrenadiers have actually pushed away by the... And leaving, oh, the Volksgrenadiers were pushed away. The Riflemen actually managed to push up really nicely down there by the TheDarkknighrises. And again, using buildings. Again, garrisoning troops at the right times, at the right buildings, can actually do a lot to, you know, hinder your opponent's advance and actually force them back. But we are seeing skirmish phase up for Rangeroo7. The MP40 is equipped. Riflemen, though, are advancing on the Volksgrenadiers. And there we go. We're actually going to quickly see Rangeroo pushed off the right-hand side. Normally, the Wehrmacht did not actually fully equip their units with MP40s. That was largely something the Soviets did, as there is some machine guns. On the other hand, this did happen a bit with the Volksgrenadiers, but that was only because they're actually supposed to be equipped with assault rifles. In some cases where that was not possible, they were equipped with MP40s instead. Otherwise, they were equipped more like a regular, you know, Volksgrenadier. I mean, basically, a platoon would be divided up into 3 squads. 2 of them would be sort of Sturm Volksgrenadiers with assault rifles. Then there'd be last one more heavily equipped with MGs to sort of function as a base of fire for the attacking squads. So, fun little fact there about Volksgrenadier organization. Although again, that was how it was supposed to be on paper and was not always that it happened. And usually the ones that might have been would have been either the Fusilier Company or Battalion, again depending on how much troops they actually got, which varied heavily it seems. Rifleman up here running into another MG42. Schwer's MG42 just tearing through the riflemen, ending lives, and we could see a squad go down, or will they pull off another Forrest Gump? No, they did not. In this case, Forrest Gump was gutted down. There shall be no sequel, or no further movie. Sniper moving up as well, so a pretty heavy tier 1 in response, of course, to the Browning automatics, and likely we will also be seeing Rangeroo7 then going for the Sturm Armory and some Panzerspeerwagons of the Schwerer kind. Mine up there. Interestingly enough, positioning wise, it's not necessarily the best one. I mean, you could risk, of course, they just sort of slightly walk around there, and here would have been better, or even here. Oh well. Rangeroo7 is rather penning himself in. It can work, but at the same time it could also backfire, particularly with all the tank traps, which could make any further vehicle or armor movements a lot more difficult. And the thing is, the Germans were not actually known to do this, not even with mines, particularly not with mines, because again they'd always leave a way open for them to counterattack. Again, the Germans were very much about the attack, even on the defense. All of their manuals, for example, stressed that defense should always be considered temporary only. Attack was always the desired, you know, method of fighting. So fun little fact there about Wehrmacht strategy and how they approached the art of war. Right here, though, taking quite a beating. Heavy fire from the MP40s and the MG42. Nicely placed there, can actually cover a nice bit of spot, but at the same time not quite forwards either, so it can be easily dealt with. And there we go, more Dragon's Teeth. Gaining for the victory points, although quickly losing victory points. You need to get a hold of that. And we do see a medic station up for the TheDarkknighrises. Rare to see, but lovely to see. It means he's rather planning a bit ahead and working to mitigate his own losses. Engineers with minesweepers here getting pushed away. MG42 setting up. And note the positioning, he's probably trying to set it up so it'd cover this area rather nicely. And mining, I mean, the TheDarkknighrises is quite good with his mining. He's quite prolific even, and that, of course, is a good move. In particular, if your opponent never bothers with a minesweeper. There we go. Nice pop into the building right in fact there. Ambushes the Volksgrenadiers, gets off some nice shots at them. And here's another thing. a fun thing about MP40s, they're pretty rubbish against troops inside buildings. They get a 50% accuracy reduction and a 50% damage reduction. So that was actually a very clever move right there by the TheDarkknighrises, and definitely meant he had the advantage. Instead, now we do see a sniper and an MG42 ranging in the riflemen, causing intense casualties, leaving them screaming, "Sarge, help us!" And Sarge is dead. Shot through the head. Meanwhile, another rifle squad advances. Could be careful, could easily get suppressed. But no. And the MG42 did not change targets rifle up. But there we go. But apparently, there we go. Rifle getting stopped right in front of it. But already there. Too close. Now we're getting pushed off. There's no support. Keine Unterstützung. Kampfkraftcenter Kriegberg. Instead, I would have fought a Sturmarmy, but apparently not. Volksgrenadier is not fully reinforced. This is an absolute disaster for Rangeroo7 and the 329th Volksgrenadiers. They're getting pushed off the field. Ein disaster. And veterancy for the infantry on the way. He could consider some grenadiers. A half-track would also be a good move at this stage. Or perhaps a mortar, a Granatenwerfer. Well, of course, have to see how it works out. He's got 2 squads of Volksgrenadiers, not necessarily the optimal amount of infantry. I would always recommend for the Wehrmacht, the solid infantry minimum is 3. Bare minimum is 2. Bare minimum is, by the way, is not good. But 3 is a good minimum for the Americans. 3 is the bare minimum. 4 is, you know, a good, nice set of infantry. So at least is how I would usually classify things in terms of infantry. Though, of course, you shouldn't get too much either. In particular, as the Americans, you need to sort of balance it out with also having, you know, enough supply and upgrades. But we do see a weapon support out for the TheDarkknighrises. We do see snipers. We do see some advances here towards the western areas. Mines going off right there. Nicely placed, really aggressive move. Pushing in for one of the vital points. In fact, cutting off him from the right-hand side completely and then mining it. Really bold move there by the TheDarkknighrises. Quite impressive to sort of see it. And, of course, even more impressive to see that, well, he actually fell for it. Rangeroo, that is. He's getting a pack. Interesting. Of course, you might be worried he's not had good enough map control. So, of course, he might get rushed. And also note, I think he laid down a mine before cutting the wire. That's pretty devious there by the TheDarkknighrises. He's definitely got some clever stuff going on there with the mines. Volksgrenadiers moving up. And, oh, they could set up a mine. And there we go. The mine went off, allowing them to be easier targets for the flamethrowers. Ram here going up. Sniper moving up. Has to be careful. Americans pushing up and west again. Map control is definitely not on this side of Rangeroo. Not good force composition. Is a bit too passive combined with the rest. And he's not getting more infantry. He's not getting more boots on the ground. Nicht mehr Infanterie. Which is definitely nicht good. And, I mean, considering he went for such a defensive approach, I'm quite amazed he never bothered with a medic bunker. I mean, that would definitely have helped as well. So it's rather odd in some ways and definitely not very optimal. But there we go. The Sturm Army is now going up for Rangeroo7. No doctrine, by the way. No doctrine, whereas I think actually he went for infantry. Mr. TheDarkknighrises. Pack, not Cloak, instead getting flanked now by the riflemen. And there we go, Cloaks, but it's a bit too late. MG42 setting up, at the same time setting up for the flanking assault right there. And there we go, sniper fire gets one of the support gunners, although managed to stop the rifleman right there. Volksgrenadiers need to push in quickly to save the support weapons right there. Sniper up here. Safely protected, but could very much get cut down now by the BARs. And there we go, MG Bunker gets off a few good shots on the rifleman as attacking the pack. Die Widerstandneste. And meanwhile, the Volksgrenadiers looks like they are pushing out there, stopping some engineers, possibly from even laying down a mine, opening up the west side, but at the same time, again, the east is going to get lost, and again, Rangeroo is having a bit of a problem setting up a defense. MG42, though, gets a nice drop there on the rifle, going for the cutoff point right there, firing away with hundreds of bullets per second, even thousands, in fact. American sniper continues to take a toll on German troops. Riflemen holding up there, but they are getting sniped, and we are seeing the Volksgrenadiers taking up position. In fact, going to try and see if they can't cut down the rifle and force them out. And there we go. They're getting out, and this could be a loss. Another squad loss, in fact, for the TheDarkknighrises. He actually suffered some nasty infantry losses, and that could actually be the moment that Rangeroo7 actually pushes forwards now, since, well, the TheDarkknighrises actually lost 2 squads of riflemen. Although it doesn't actually look like he's replacing them currently. Although we do see infantry going, well, artillery going in, so that definitely confirms the infantry doctrine. Armored car out, Panzer Spähwagen, mine went off there. Riflemen going to counterattack against the Volksgrenadiers already wounded. So again, nicely mined there by the Darkknightrises again. And now, finally, Rangeroo7 gets a minesweeper after all of those mines. It's a surprise he didn't get it earlier. And we could see the Volksgrenadiers going down here. Rangeroo7 was not paying attention, and a Volksgrenadier squad were ended on the spot. Grenadiers will definitely be needing that to replace some of all those intense infantry losses. And of course, Rangeroo is not advancing very swiftly now, which is definitely giving the Darkknightrises more time to actually, you know, survive, build up something. Because again, the Rangeroo7 is simply too slow. He's simply too passive, which is never good. In fact, that's bad. And some riflemen sneaking up there. Very bold, very bold. Resources being floated by Rangeroo7. Riflemen take up position there. Victory point falling. And another mine went off. Up by there, by that fuel point finally going off. So the mine did pay off, which is always good. Armor car going to have to move through here again. Again, the problem with the Rangeroo7 tank trapping off so many routes is actually making it difficult again for his vehicles to move about. So in this case, Rangeroo7 has actually hurt himself more than he actually has done to hurt his opponent. Floating manpower again, don't do that. Rangeroo7, get some grenadiers. Immer mehr Grenadieren. Instead he's getting another sniper. And eat boots on the ground. You're down to one squad of infantry. One squad of Volksgrenadiers, no matter how brave, is not going to cut it. There we go, posing for the camera. And the MG getting pushed away. In fact, right here, the Darkknightrises could in fact walk straight into the base of Rangeroo. In fact, the buildings are positioned like that. They block for any MGs. So that's actually not good for Rangeroo. Armor car finally arriving. Rifle here getting pinned down by intense machine gun fire. The armor car pulls up with its auto cannon and unleashes death. At the same time, though, Hellcats have arrived. The tank destroyer has been sent in to support the 10th Infantry with the 76mm gun. It catches the armored car. And I hear artillery. Ooh, going straight into the German base. Oh, that was close, actually getting the Wehrmacht quarter, but did not quite succeed. And again, more infantry mine here. Armored car quickly went down to the deadly Hellcat. The pressure is definitely on the Germans, and Rangeroo decides that the solution is to make it even more difficult for his vehicles to get anywhere. I'm not convinced that it's a good idea, and of course, for the Darkknightrises to overcome this, I mean, yeah, basically requires crashing through a few ruins. Or for that matter, all he'd need to do is basically get some demo charges for the engineers, place them on the tank traps, kaboom, and no more blockade. So I mean, not exactly that much of an impenetrable, well, unovercomable blockade, but we do see a Geschützwagen now arriving, probably some left over from the forces in Normandy, and been supplied as a replacement Sturmgeschütz, though I never know if that actually happened, but we can always imagine. Imagination. Oh, Hellcat snipes a machine gunner, doing quite a nasty work right there. Geschützwagen moving up with its Pack 40. The Pack 40 being available in company reviews too. Alongside, I think, the Pack 43, which was a considerably heavier anti-tank gun, using pretty much the exact same gun as the one mounted on Volkswagen, the Jagdpanther and King Tiger. Volksgrenadiers moving on the engineers, coming out of far from the Hellcat. Finally getting some grenadiers. Finally, about bleeding time. And some pioneers containing the tank traps were murdered by some riflemen and a sniper combo. Or the German sniper opens up. Need to be careful, Hellcat advancing. Looking dangerous. No veterancy for the Geschützwagen. Grenadiers moving about with the punch taking up position in that small building. Hellcat being stopped by the tank trap, and there we go. Oh, the other snipers are pushed away. American sniper that was firing off to not actually able to do anything, but that was bleeding close. And I do mean bleeding. The Schutzwagen though is in a bit of trouble. Can't seem to hit the target. The pack's nowhere near to be seen either. The situation is definitely dangerous for the Wehrmacht, for the 329th Volksgrenadiers. And by the way, if you're curious about a book about them, there's only really one book about the subject, but that's one called Victory Was Beyond Their Grasp by Douglas Nash. A book about the 272nd, I think, Volksgrenadier Division, but actually also describes a lot of other divisions and how they were sort of put together and what roles and such they had. It's a really interesting book, and again, if you're curious about Volksgrenadiers, it is very highly recommendable. Excellent book. Rather than here taking an absolute beating from the Germans. No further veterancy. And looks like we are seeing Rangeroo7 trying to enter the medic station. Oh dear, the Hellcats did the work. Good job, John. Yeah, good job. Now you kill the medics. Let's go look at the TheDarkknighrises again. Engineers on the way, possibly some replacement. I mean, again, he's actually incredibly short in infantry as well, but he's still doing better than Rangeroo7. Clearly neither player is apparently a very good infantry commander. Although it looks like there could be some more grenadiers on the way. He could also consider getting a light MG to help with infantry. Snipers far away, and so far... Oh, there we go. One actually hits, and artillery getting called in. Possibly here on the Volksgrenadiers, to prevent them from going for that. And there we go. First shot misses admirably, knocking out an electrical pole. And another shot just to make sure it's dead. You wouldn't want that damn Kraut refrigerator to get any power, so the Germans could get any cold beers. Troops reinforcing. Still not much there for the Grenadiers. Another squad of Grenadiers out. And the Volksgrenadier divisions would usually rather range in quality depending on how many veterans were actually formed in the corps. Some divisions didn't even have any because, again, they were basically formed completely from scratch. Most others were actually formed out from the remainders of divisions already shattered, usually on the Western Front or the Eastern Front. And then they'd usually be fed up with whatever remainders of, recruits were available. Could be anything from Kriegsmarine and Luftwaffe, in which case there were many who would usually actually have a mix of their own uniforms and Wehrmacht uniforms, and otherwise, army recruits. Hellcats advancing, going in after the Geschützwagen. Pack might want to consider moving up. Again, I mean, it's not really a well-placed pack right there from Rangeroo7, by the way. Panzerschrecks moving up, but we are seeing artillery getting called in right here. Nice clumped up force right there. Geschützwagen is down. And there we go, absolutely devastating hit. Takes out so many Germans. Although looks like another rifle squad could go down for the TheDarkknighrises, but looks like he gets out of there very close. Also, one Hellcat went down, but again, devastating again. Poor positioning of the pack. I have no idea why he wants to hide up here by the open blitz. It's not driving. Apparently someone stole all the gasoline. I'm looking at you, Heinz. Another armored car. Looks like he's actually getting some veterancy for it now. Veterancy 1. Making it a bit tougher. Finding for the map continues. The TheDarkknighrises getting more replacement infantry, keeping up the pressure. Rangeroo7 doing what he can to hold back the Germans, and I do believe it's time for the mid-game analysis. Current situation for Rangeroo7. A bit rubbish. Again, he's suffering some nasty losses, in some cases a bit unnecessary losses. His force composition has for some time not been the most optimal one, although he's getting there. The pack, though, needs to be placed in a more, helpful position. Again, one way can actually probably cover things, but not at the same time be too exposed. And basically, I mean, he needs to push forward. He needs to be more aggressive. He's currently too passive, and again, he's too much relying on his tank traps and barbed wire to win the fight for him. And again, in several cases, they seem to be doing more to actually obstruct him than obstruct his opponent, which is usually a bad sign. On the other hand, for the TheDarkknighrises, I mean, he's suffering losses. He's not having it fully easy, but he's definitely, you know, having the edge several times. He definitely gets the jump. He gets the advantage through several clever actions. He's really obstructed Rangeroo7. Of course, the question is if perhaps this obstruction of Rangeroo7 might actually have thrown him a bit off his game. That is always a possibility. For Rangeroo7, though, he needs to keep up the pressure. He's getting a howitzer now. That's going to help with the dug-in positions. He could also consider getting a Sherman, although he's upgrading further his appliance, so that's actually great as well. A replacement medic station would also be good. For Rangeroo7, a medic bunker, perhaps some more Geschützwagen, further veterans, all for the stuff, and so on, perhaps some LMGs. But let's get back to the fight. Let us get back to the fight. Victory point over there secured. Munitions falling to the Americans, looking to secure it for their own nasty gains. Snipers not halted by the tank traps, much to the surprise of the Führer. Rifleman quickly making a run for the building, taking up a nice blocking position in there. Again, the Volksgrenadiers quickly pull up in heavy cover. In fact, they ends up retreating, interestingly enough. I also think that... Oh, Rangeroo still has his 2 snipers. Actually opens up and he could reveal them. Then snipe. American snipers could get him. No, they did do nothing. Nothing. And meanwhile, the Hellcat moves in. Then again, there's a huge gap there straight into the base of Rangeroo7. He's nothing covering. Again, the pack, for example, is not there. Again, awfully and awkwardly positioned. Fighting going on here. Rifle taking up position. The barrel factory grenadiers quickly rushing away, realizing they perhaps did not have the resources for knocking out the bastards. Armored car looks to be temporarily escaping the Hellcat from here. Oh, that looks like the Wehrmacht quarters could go down. Another Geschützwagen. Another artillery strike going on here around the center. Hoping to catch some German targets, instead catching some infrastructure. Creating some craters. Looks like the armored car's in trouble. Geschützwagen is nowhere to be seen for support. And there we go, turning him out. Hellcat getting another Panzerfaust in the rear. Geschützwagen gets the main gun. Will he be able to finish off the job? Will it be able to? Will the Hellcat escape? With death hot on its heels. Looks like the snipers are moving in to clear out the barrel factory, while grenadiers are holding up the center here. Riflemen moving in a bit there. Snipers keeping a bit far back. Apparently not too eager to face off against any German snipers. And no, not the ones in the house. Instead, we're seeing snipers right here taking up position against the grenadiers. And a unit went down. The Hellcat was lost. Flamethrower engineers and minesweeper engineers moving up there. Snipers need to be careful. Another sniper actually taking up position to clear out the ones in the house. And propaganda also. Clearly, we have terror up for Rangeroo7. Riflemen continue to get sniped. This could actually end up being very bad. Oh, Rifleman squad went down. And apparently the Riflemen kept popping their heads out. Hey, what's going on here? Do I hear the ice cream van? Yeah, perhaps not the most serious, but slowly.
Losing ground out there.
Snipers. Oh, dear, there's spot. Oh, went down, went down. How unfortunate. And the other sniper reels himself right in front of the American sniper. Oh, Rangeroo7. That was a bit silly. But now we do see some replacement infantry, and this time a bit tougher. We are seeing a Ranger out, getting equipped with the considerably heavy Thompson submachine gun, which is actually one of the reasons why the Americans were looking to replace it for a submachine gun. It was pretty damn heavy and not necessarily very practical in close quarter combat. Which is why they came up with the grease gun, which was not necessarily that much better, but was cheaper and lighter. Rifleman squad there on the run. And there you go, the Thompson has been equipped for the Rangers. Armored car firing away. Crane taking a hit. And of course the Thompson submachine gun did have that iconic drum magazine. The thing was, though, usually with the drum magazines was they couldn't actually be filled to full capacity, otherwise they'd actually end up ruining in the magazines. It usually always ended up having less than full ammunition in it, and otherwise in the end they basically just went for more regular stick magazines, probably also because they were easier to deal with. But the Soviets had the same problems with the PPH-41. And that was again later rectified. Oh, looks like Oh, a Ranger squad went down. That was actually pretty rubbish going on there for Rangeroo7. A bit too bold. And hiccups, curse you. But a push going in towards the center. Armored car needs to get the devil out of there. MG42, by the way, has not been re-secured. Rather than going in, and we looks like we will be seeing a sticky bomb and the armored car. Artillery going in, so directly at the base, getting a Grenadier squad. Panzergrenadier left behind. Königstiger has arrived. The 429th are dependent on a Königstiger to provide support. And Veterans 2 for the armored car, continuing to fire away at the rifle. The rifle looks like they will be rushing into the house, and they will soon be getting a nasty surprise as the high velocity 88mm gun fires away, connecting with the building in question. And we do see them quickly getting out of there. Grenadiers taking up position in the adjoining Bell factory structure. Gets off a nice pantrick on the Hellcat there. Again, I think the TheDarkknighrises might want to consider getting some Shermans to help deal with the infantry. Troops going down there. Minesweepers did not make it out of alive. King Tiger pushes forwards. Engineers are getting caught. And looks like the MG was actually blown to bits by the Hellcat, though the Hellcat could soon go down if a single Panzergrenadier connects. Nope. Hellcat escapes. Hellcat escapes. Of course, the King Tiger does not need to bother with tank types. You can pretty much crush them. Although usually when you crush such an obstacle, you actually get a slight slowdown for the tank temporarily. And artillery going in. Looks, and yes, there's a slight problem here. And if someone tells me that's because, again, yes, they parked straight next to an opponent's point. That's the key. Again, points give us slight line of sight here in Company of Heroes. In this case, that rather real things. Snipers moving up there, dealing with the Grenadiers inside the barrel factory. Get them out of there, Rangeroo. Get them out of there. Save your men. It looks like another rifleman squad took a beating right there. It looks like... No, both snipers made it out of there. Grenadiers inside there also slightly survived. Also looks like this factory has not seen a single barrel for some time. I'm just guessing. But a BAR left behind there.
Supply lines are broken.
And it's actually time to look back at Rangeroo7. Hellcat getting repaired. Howitzer already Veterans 2. That's quite impressive. Definitely means it can fire faster and definitely cause the Germans some nightmares. So lovely stuff that. Wiring off there. Grenadiers need to get out of that though. They need to leave it. They need to get back and get reinforced.
Heavy recon here.
Several armor cars are up, but there's not really much from Rangeroo to really help deal with the Hellcats. And he's not even upgrading the armor cars to perhaps, help deal with that way. I mean, he could consider getting, well, more Geschützwagens or taking up and going for Panzers. But he definitely needs to deal with something, otherwise, I mean, his armored cars will quickly go down because the King Tiger, of course, can't be everywhere, and particularly because it's so bloody damn slow. Howitzer firing away.
Repairs complete.
Direct hit on the MG42, ruining that. Another Grenadier squad popping out for Rangeroo7. He's got plenty of munitions again. I think an MG could, slightly help against some of the infantry. And for that matter, Veterans 2 could also benefit him. Bit of quiet. This viewpoint has still not been secured by Rangeroo7. More Hellcats arriving. More infantry. Looks like an off-map combat group has been provided. Yes, indeed, because one of them has actually been upgraded with a 50 caliber, and most players don't upgrade them willingly. Minor fighting going on here. Snipers opening up on the American forces, providing definitely a lot of pressure. Armor coming forward. Needs to be careful coming under fire from the Hellcat. Mortar blasting away. The TheDarkknighrises launching a larger assault. There we go. King Tiger announcing its presence. Bit more sensibly this time around. Damaged engine on the armor car. Pantrick. Still one Grenadier left in the building. Why do you do that, Rangeroo? And we're actually seeing inspired assault of all things, actually, with the Grenadiers inside the building. It actually makes sense, but quickly, of course, they also become easier targets. We also see something going on here. rather than taking heavy losses and could go down. In fact, to the inspired assault troops and the armored cars for that matter. And they did another Raven squad down for the Dark Knight Rises. I mean, at least Rangeroo7 actually causing some heavy infantry losses to the 10th Infantry. But again, his unit preservation in some cases is a bit, you know, curious. But on the other hand, inspired assault again, it's a bit rare to see. But again, it's actually a nice ability if you know how to use it. But again, it's an ability that does require a bit more gut feeling. It's a bit more of a tricky ability to use. So of course it's not something I would say you should always use, and I'm certainly not blame anyone for not using it. Oh dear, mortar got the Pioneers, got repairing the armoured car. And also interesting, I mean, considering all the vehicles he has, he's not put up a repair bunker, which is actually a bit curious. And we're actually seeing veterans free for the vehicles, my god. That's definitely rare. But it actually gives the armoured cars a damage bonus. I believe it's about 20 to 25%, which definitely means they're going to be a lot more lethal to infantry. But again, if you also outgun them to Pumas, they can actually do alright against tank destroyers. Looks like the Hellcat is trying to get the... well, the King Tiger is trying to get the Hellcat. And it looks like the small cat escaped the big cat. And there we go, veterans defeat. Also, fun fact, again, the pack is still poorly positioned, but the pack also gains a small damage bonus through veterans free. So, fun fact. Both Hellcats, though, are in a deplorable condition. Infantry clearing out the Volksgrenadiers. And looks like they are on the hunt. Victory points not looking good for Rangeroo7 either. And one Volksgrenadier survives and tries to hunt down the snipers. Good luck, Hans. Mortar round straight on the King Tiger. Armor car pushes up. Another weapon squad moving up there, taking a bloody fusillade from the armored car. Again, increased damage, really nasty here. Rather than running into Propagandacast and armoured car. And of course the presence of the King Tiger is still lingering. More artillery likely going in on the King Tiger. Rather than advancing, 2 mortars up to support this advance, rather than taking some nasty losses from the King Tiger and the armoured car. Armoured car getting hit by mortar rounds, King Tiger getting sticky bombed. So much artillery all of a sudden going in, light and less light artillery. A 30 caliber moving about to try and deal with the Pioneers, and the Pioneers then just move on, meaning the 30 caliber has to move again. What bastards. More Pioneers, another armoured car. I think Rangeroo7 might be pushing too many resources, and again, another thing to consider is again, he could also just, you know, gone straight for the Panther Command instead of investing that much resources into veterancy. But if he really is going to do that much, I would at least recommend getting at least 1 or 2 of them upgraded to Pumas. Looks like the Pioneers went down to a mine. Looks like the Volksgrenadiers will be spotting one of the mortar crews and making short work of that. And another unit went down. That was a Grenadier squad. Rangeroo7 again does not seem to quite mind his troops a lot. Replacements on the way.
The enemy is seizing our territory.
Mortar crew being sent in by the Dark Knight Rises to take the points. Bit of a bold move. Already 1 mortar gunner down. Clearly the Dark Knight Rises is a bit desperate. There we go, gone. Also a ton of units here. I mean, if you could get a V1 rocket, he could knock out the howitzer and do a lot of damage to the Dark Knight Rises. He could also call in a firestorm right here and probably knocked out some of those Hellcats and some other stuff. But that does not seem to be on the Dark Knight, Rangeroo7's mind. Another Grenadier squad trained. Mortar right here taking some punishing losses from the armor car. Sniper opens up.
Enemy infantry is kaput.
And King Tiger fires and misses heroically. Central point will soon be falling. Armored car ready to move again, and it's still not that pack is anywhere useful. I mean, it's quite incredible. The Rangeroo seems to have utterly forgotten about it and not even using it to provide protection for his King Tiger, which is currently actually in an exposed position. And I mean, he should know there's still several Hellcats roaming about, so he needs actually to ensure they don't just actually swarm the King Tiger. So Rangeroo7 here could be sowing the seeds of his own destruction if he's not careful. Because he's clearly not intending to counterattack and actually destroy the Hellcats before they're ready. Because, I mean, that's actually also a strategy. I mean, he knows they're there, so he could try and counterattack now to destroy them before they're ready to attack him. Oh, there's snipers advancing up, uncloaked straight into the King Tiger. Oh, and he tried to propaganda wall, but he missed. He was trying to get that sniper. Rifle squad goes down in a blaze of death and glory. Volksgrenadier advancing. Artillery getting called in. Mortar still down. Sniper dead. Sniper dead to artillery. Snipers dying everywhere. Volksgrenadiers on the run. They've somehow yet to survive it. Somehow managed to survive everything, in fact. Right near getting cut to pieces by the Veterans 3 armored cars. And the TheDarkknighrises infantry just took an absolutely punishing beating. He's down to one squad of rifles and some engineers. But again, the Hellcats could easily overcome Rangeroo7 because he's only got the King Tiger and he can't handle 4 Hellcats, in particular not in his current condition. He needs to pack up to support it. Get it up, Rangeroo7. Schnell, schnell, los. Do something. Führerbefehl. The Führer commands that you protect your King Tiger. It is valuable resources. And there we go. The Hellcats are advancing. The King Tiger, we see some grenadiers with 1 pound strike, but it's not going to be enough. And there we go. The pack again is far away from the front line. We are seeing repairs going up. Again, the Pumas have not even upgraded. Had the Pumas been upgraded, or had they been upgraded to Pumas, at least some of them, again, they might have been able to do something. But again, now just look how much damage the King Tiger is taking. And now the pack is finally moving, but again, it's too little, too late. 1 Hellcat goes down, but the main gun is destroyed. And the thing is, as soon as the King Tiger is gone, the armored cars are going to fall. Then the Veterans 3 is not going to matter one bloody bit. And already there, I mean, more Hellcats are being poured into the crucible of war. And there we go, a Veterans 3 Hellcat Grenadier squad went down the retreat. Armored car down the retreat. Veterans 3 pack firing away, but again, it's too late. It can't provide now for proper fire support because the armored car, the Hellcat's already passed it. It's absolute pandemonium, absolute disaster, absolute chaos. And again, it could have been, at least, if not avoided, at least considerably mitigated. But the Rangeroo7 never got around to that. And there we go, the Veterans 3 Hellcat. No, that wasn't actually it, even it. Oh dear, and we are seeing a Geschützwagen now as well, but again, too little, too late, and not even veteran. Not even veteran. Oh dear. Rangers advancing straight at the Panzerabwehrkanone. Propaganda war saves the day, if only for another minute. The situation died. We are seeing actually a repair bunker up, of all things. Again, too late for Rangeroo7. I mean, a lot of the stuff he needed, he got way too late. Hellcat almost down. Main gun destroyed on the Geschützwagen. And now the Hellcat is out of the way and already Rifle now advancing on it. Probably going to get off a sticky bomb and they might even be able to destroy it. And indeed, the Geschützwagen is lost like so much else. And he's down to a few squads of infantry now, Mr. Rangeroo7. All else is lost. I mean, the TheDarkknighrises force, of course, is also quite worse for wear, but it's still larger. It's still got most of its main components. And there's not much that Rangeroo7 can really do to get back now. Oh, direct hit on the pioneers. And he's of course equipping his grenadiers with panzerschrecks, which is a bit not much. Of course, you're not going to help it much against infantry. So definitely not good either there. Another armoured car. And again, despite the fact that again, what does Rangeroo7 have? Tank destroyers. So yeah, some problems there for Rangeroo7. Opening up on the rifleman right there. Doing some nasty damage.
The Huns are taking our territory.
Rifleman getting pushed away. Blasted to bits and what not. And the Rangers advancing as well. A mine down there. Ooh, cheeky. But again, nice to see. And another armoured car rolling past the wreckage of Hellcats as it moves forward to the battlefield. And moving up to deal with the rifleman right there. Not looking good at all. More grenadiers trained for Rangeroo7. Rifleman actually took heavy damage, and there we go, another armoured car down. The Veterans 3 Hellcat made very short work of that vehicle. And there we go, the Hellcat rolls in. Another day, another prey. Just pushing forwards. And there we go, almost down. We do see that inspired assault on the Grenadiers. And they get it. A glorious assault on the Hellcat knocks it out, but at what cost? And more artillery close to knocking out the Grenadiers, but they do manage to get out of the range of fire. Armoured car taking nasty hits from the BAR. Rangers moving in as well. Bunker protecting the entrance could go down. Armoured car did go down, in fact. And another one's coming out. It looks like my cursor is getting a bit weird. That's always fun. Looks like it stopped though. But this rather looks like GG. And game over for Rangeroo7. A glorious fight for the 329th Volksgrenadier Division and some support from other units, but still overall, I mean, some problems again. Too passive play, not enough infantry. Poor, I mean, he kept, constricting himself rather than his opponent, and again, the pack definitely did not get utilised properly, meaning his King Tiger was very quickly down. So really some mistakes there in his defensive plan overall, lack of medic bunker. And again, the question was, again, should he not perhaps, consider upgrading some of his armoured cars to Pumas if you really intend to get only that and a King Tiger. The TheDarkknighrises certainly probably was a bit too bold sometimes, not getting his infantry out in time. On the other hand, he really was aggressive, really nicely aggressive with mines, aggressive with Hellcats. He kept on flanking. He didn't just, attack one spot and hammer away. He kept moving about, hitting the flanks, hitting the weak spots. He was really great, really a dervish, if you will, and doing some terrible damage to Rangeroo7 in the end, securing a nice win for the 10th Infantry and the United States. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this match. I hope you learned something from it. If you did, why not subscribe, tell your friends? If you didn't, well, why not send a replay your own? This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.